Pleasure. How are you? Roll Tide.
It's the pleasure all mine. Like you've been hitting them weights pretty good.
Yeah, I try to stay, just because I'm in my 40 don't mean I gotta fall off now.
Yeah, well, I feel the same way.
And then if you want to close it
I
after
know,
your
man.
three,
Come on.
wait,
I don't need a tutorial.
you're gonna need an ass whooping after I see you. All right, you ready?
I'm staying out of that.
Done
Three.
pregame shows for NBC for national championship games and SEC championship games. Man, I got this. Come on.
But this is the CTS. Let's do this. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to another episode of the Marvin Constant Show. When I tell you, this show, beyond all shows, is going to be a very special and a very unique show. It's not every day that you have a former Alabama football player, Alabama former great NFL player on, who's also a mayor. That's right, a mayor. Hey, this is going to be a great one. Stay tuned. We'll get to that in 1 second. But first and foremost, my co-host, the man himself, Mr. Joseph Lozado.
Marvin Constant, how you doing today?
Man, I'm good. I'm just happy to be back up, moving around. It's been a little bit of a rough patch here, but I'm back.
How you, before we get started, how you feeling?
Feeling good. I can wear pants again.
Well, he had a little bit of health scare, but Marvin, unfortunately, I'm sad to say, man, but we got some breaking news, man.
Oh, God. What is the breaking news?
Well, apparently they're removing the tiger from the Auburn Tigers logo. It turns out that the Atra Tiger community is offended by being associated with the football team. So this is another big hit to the Auburn football team.
You really need something better to do with your time. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to keep you waiting any longer. The man himself, the pride of Phoenix City, Alabama, Mr. Mayor Eddie Lowe.
Hello, Marvin. Joseph, thank you also very much for having me. I know we've been attempting this a few times, but finally we're at that point where we can get it done. And I'm very, very grateful to be able to do this again, because that we all know that, playing for Alabama is something special. And anytime I have a chance to talk about it and to let people know what it meant to me to have played there, I always look forward to it. So thank you all so very much for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us again. I know what it means to play for Alabama. And so, it's always great for me to be able to talk to those who came before me, because without you, there would have been no me. A lot of people don't understand that, because, back in the 70s and 80s, we know how things went. So, without you guys, it wouldn't have been no us. So thank you for that first and foremost. But let's jump right into it. So you were born in Georgia, but you were raised in Phoenix City. So how does that happen? What's going on with the transition between Georgia to Phoenix City?
Okay, where I am, Phoenix City is eastern Alabama. Columbus, Georgia is west Georgia. And they're a border town, border cities. The only thing that separates us is the Chattahoochee River. That's really literally a rock throw away from each of those states. I was born in Columbus, Georgia at the medical center, but my parents, we lived in Phoenix City. I was raised in Phoenix City. I went through public schools here in Phoenix City, but my parents worked in Columbus, in Georgia. Phoenix City is right now is about close to 40,000 people. I'm not sure how many the population was at that time, but most of the jobs were in Columbus, Georgia. So my parents worked over there. And in fact, Marvin, we are, I think, one or maybe two of the cities in the state of Alabama that's on Eastern time. We're not on the Central time. We're on the Eastern time due to the fact of the proximity to Columbus in Columbus, Georgia, and a lot of people work in Columbus. So in other words, some of us call it fast time and slow time. So here in Phoenix City, positively Phoenix City, we're on fast time. We're on Eastern time. So that's how all that changed in with us being this close. But again, I was raised and went to school here in Phoenix City, Alabama, which I'm so grateful to be a part of.
Well, I'm actually very familiar with the area. My brother actually lives in Alex City, so I've spent some time in the roundabouts of that area. I don't know how he lives in Alex City with it being so close to another institution, but we ain't gonna get into that. But what I want to talk to you about is, how does one grow up in Phoenix City so close to those guys, but ends up in Tuscaloosa with the good guys?
Well, let me say that one of my older brothers, Woodrow, who played there, and I guess being a younger brother, and he's been my older brother, you always have the tendencies you want to follow in their footsteps. So, of course, with him going over there and playing, it only made me wanted to go over there and play even more. So I'm grateful for that opportunity. And again, playing there is something that's really, really special, as you should know. And it's something that no one can ever take away from you, because it is a great experience, and it taught us how to be, first of all, real people, a person with character, integrity, morals, and also taught us that when you get knocked down or you're down, you get back up with the right attitude and you go at it. And so, but to answer that question, because my older brother Woodrow played there, it just only made me want to go there. And I had a couple of friends over there playing from Phoenix City. And so that just enticed me even more.
Well, it's funny you say that, because my sister was the exact opposite, because she was 4 years younger than me. She played volleyball. Alabama offered her a scholarship. You know what her response was? I'm not going anywhere where they know you, because I'm tired of being called your little sister. I want to be called by my name. So she decides to go play. She accepts LSU scholarship offer. So she goes and plays for LSU. They come to Tuscaloosa to play. They booed her the whole game. They were chanting, Marquisha's a traitor. I felt so bad for her.
Yeah, but she kind of put herself in that situation.
Exactly, because you want to go somewhere where nobody knew me. So, hey, I get it. Life happens. So, but, what impact did your brother have on you? Because we all know Woodrow Lowe is one of the household names of Alabama football. You can't go anywhere with the true fans and they don't know who Woodrow Lowe is. So what impact did he have on you playing? And what was it like being the little brother to Woodrow Lowe?
Well, he kind of has always taken to football and coached us in sandlot football. And so he really mentored us from an aspect of being tough, the mental aspect of it, not just physically, but the mental aspect of it, which is, and I believe, and I think you would agree with me, that 90% of it is the mental aspect of it. And he did a great job in preparing me and other guys like Jeremiah Castile, as Billy Jackson, who played over there. We were all younger than him, and we all looked up to him, but he would always get us out there when we were playing sandlot and just push us and teach us. And so with him going over there, I guess he set the pathway for all of us to desire to go there. And so, and I'm just grateful that it happened, but he taught us a lot. But again, the main thing is the mental fortitude of it, the mental side of it, which is highly, highly important. And like I said, I am so grateful that he did do that to us, because as you know, playing at the University of Alabama in football is not an easy task, and it's not something that everybody can do.
It's not something that everybody needs to do.
Yeah, because how you're pushed to the limit, which is a thing that probably most of us, like me, didn't really appreciate it until we got out on our own. But he taught us that mental side of it, and I'm so grateful for that. But he was a great mentor, and he pushed us. And so I think that's part of the reason why we had some success over there.
Well, I'm gonna say this. We're the Lowe, Hall of Famer. However, back when we used to have ESPN Classic, I saw a lot of Eddie Lowe on ESPN Classic. And when you hit somebody, you really hit somebody. You was not somebody who was gonna just no, you look like you was ready to kill people. So with that said, I got a question. You talked about all the legendary players you played with, but you played under two legendary coaches. One was Bear Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
The other one was legendary in my hometown and somebody that you was very close to, Coach Wayne Trawick.
Yes.
Can you tell me the similarities between, especially during that time when you played under Trawick and during that time you played under Bear Bryant, the similarities they had, or in the different?
Well, let me say this. One of the things I learned from playing from Coach Trawick was the toughness. And he is actually, and I even use this phrase today, and no matter in what I have to tackle or what I have to do that may be grueling or that may be tough or that sometimes you can start feeling sorry for yourself. But the phrase that I always use all the time that I learned from him was to suck it up. In other words, you can't feel sorry for yourself. In other words, you can't feel like you're not going to make it. In other words, you don't feel like you can't do it, but you have to suck it up. And so that's who Coach Trawick was. And that's who taught me that. And I can tell you this, that he believed in doing it the right way. No shortcuts like Coach Bryant did. Coach Bryant was tough. They were both hard, but they were both fair. And so in life, that's all you can really ask for is being fair. But I was very blessed to play for Coach Trawick because he was a father figure to so many of us. But he taught us how to play tough, how to suck it up, not to give up. And he, as Coach Bryant did, always talked about the similarity of using this for life when you get out on your own. So I was blessed, as Jeremiah Castile was, as Billy Jackson was, to be able to play for Coach Trawick, that equipped us highly to be able to play over at the University of Alabama and walk into the same mindset as a head coach have as far as being tough and being able to suck it up. So I was very blessed. And as you know, Coach Trawick just recently passed. And we are having this memorial this Saturday. But I tell you what, I was able to spend some time with him, not last Thursday, no, the Thursday before that and the weekend. And I even had a chance to coach, like you told me, we got to suck it up. And so I was fortunate, and I still use that phrase when things get tough, because at the end of the day, it's the mental side of it, it's the attitude of it, and how you deal with things. So I've been blessed to play for those that not only taught me football, but also taught me how to have a quality of life in doing things the right way. No shortcuts.
Yeah, unfortunately for me, and I say this humbly and honestly, unfortunately for me, I only got to be coach under Coach Trawick for 2 weeks for one spring training, and then he retired and went to Columbus. And the only memory I have of Coach Trawick was this one time in spring training, because I was a freshman coming into the varsity, and I was playing defense. And I wasn't, being a young, immature kid, I wasn't paying attention. And we were doing some plays, and Coach Trawick saw that I wasn't paying attention.
Oh, yeah, I can tell you. I know where you had it.
Yeah. Now, you got to understand, this is 97, somewhere.
96,
I forgot what year.
96, 97.
Yeah. This was, he was already, going to retire. He did his 25 years at Central. And he let me know that, no, when he's talking, you're gonna be paying attention. That Coach Trawick that you saw around town being nice, no, not on that practice field. But that was my only memory of Coach Trawick. He was a very good man. Every time I saw him at the barbecue place, always came up to me, say hello. Didn't know who me, but always came up to say hello to me. With that said, at playing at the University of Alabama, What is your biggest memory at the University of Alabama?
You, mine was, as you may recall, because you're way younger than us, in 1980, we played Mississippi State in Jackson, Mississippi. And I think we had, I was a sophomore then. I think I was a sophomore. Yeah. But anyway, we had a 20-something game winning streak going on. They beat us 6-3, Mississippi State did. So the next year, we played them in Tuscaloosa. John Bond was the quarterback. And the game, the only thing I can remember, they beat us the year before, and we could not lose to them again. And I think John Bond was the quarterback, and they were driving in to score. And the games, I can't remember exactly what the score was, but I do remember that John Bond went back to throw a pass, and I think I tipped the ball or something, or got an interception or something, and was running it, and maybe it was a fumble that fell. And at that time, you couldn't pick it up and progress it. So I picked it up and was running it, and then I pitched it to Jeremiah Castile. He goes in for the touchdown, but it doesn't count for a touchdown because at that time you couldn't advance a fumble. But I just knew that in that game, and I remember the night before that, they had taken us to the movie to see Halloween. And, you know, that was a scary movie. And when they were driving in to score, my heart was beating so fast that we could not let them beat us two years in a row. So for some reason, I think they made a fumble. I picked up the ball and was running it. And Jeremiah came up to the side for me and started calling the name Eddie, which he was faster than I was. And I pitched it to him and he ran it in. Unfortunately, you know, it wasn't a score. But I think that turned the game around and we were able to beat Mississippi State because it was tough against them and certainly didn't want them to beat us 2 years in a row. So that was one of my biggest highlights. And also, again, playing in the final game for Coach Bryant in Memphis at the Liberty Bowl. That's always going to be special.
Things most people will never understand about playing football at Alabama. It's the bonds and the brotherhood that you develop with the guys that you played with. I know guys who's played at a lot of schools, but the relationships that they have with the guys that they played with are nothing like the relationship that the guys who I played with and other guys that I know who played at Alabama have with their teammates. Everybody had their crew while they were in school. Mm-hmm. Who was your crew? And do y'all still talk to this day? Because I know I still talk to mine 20 years later.
I would tell you, Jeremiah Castile, and you know, Jeremiah and I room together every year. And this is the God-heaven truth. He and I never had a word of getting upset or disrespectful word. And he and I are close. His wife and I good friends. His children and my children also. You know, that's basically. I didn't do a whole lot there because you know I majored in finance. And I tell you this. Let me put it this way. I learned more about Tuscaloosa when my daughter got over there. So that kind of lets you know how I was focused. But I tell you, honestly, I learned more about Tuscaloosa when my daughter got over there. So, and you know how much time it takes, and you know, in majoring in finance, I had to really buckle down, and you know how it is playing football over there. It's taken very seriously, and rightfully so. It's taken very seriously.
Oh, it's taken extremely seriously. Yeah. And I know the things that you learned in college directly prepared you for your career in the NFL and in the CFL. Because, again, without that foundation, you know, it's hard to be successful on the levels that you were successful at. So when you're playing in the NFL, what do you think most prepared you for playing in the NFL that you learned at Alabama?
Listen, this is my mindset even to today. The things that Coach Bryant took us through and put us through, I don't think there's nothing out there that I can't do because of that. I mean, it was, like I said, he was hard, but he was fair. Right. And maybe I shouldn't think that this way, but some of the things that he got the most out of us because he was building us.
Right.
And because of what we went through and what he put us through, I don't think it's nothing out there that I can't tackle and do and be successful in. That's just my mindset from, coming from the University of Alabama and playing for him.
Well, it's funny you say that because, Dubose was the head coach when I was in school. Mm-hmm. And, Dubose came from that same plan for Bear. I think he tried to instill a lot of those things in us in terms of doing 3-a-days and trying to kill us in August in that Tuscaloosa heat. Most people understand Tuscaloosa heat is a different type of heat when you in full pads 3 times in one day. It really takes a lot of mental tenacity and toughness to be successful in that environment. Like you have your saying from your coach, one thing that I've always said is I don't make excuses, I make expectations. So, I tell people all the time, don't come to me with problems because I don't deal with problems. If I got a problem, I don't see it as a problem. I just see it as the next thing I got to tackle and to get it, done and move on. So with all that you went through in life, growing up in Central Phoenix City, being the man there, being the man at Alabama, your NFL and your CFL time, what would make you want to run for mayor?
Well, actually, it's never been my desire or admiration or anything. If you had asked me 9 years ago, I would have probably said you're crazy. It was never on the radar on my mindset. What happened is that there was a lot of people coming to me asking and saying I shouldn't run. And I was telling them, no, I wouldn't last because I'm too straight. But one particular day, while I was working at the bank, 3 different persons of 3 different ethnicities came by, and they had to be in their 80s and 90s. And each one of those persons asked and made the same, you need to run for mayor, we need a mayor. And I said, I wouldn't last. One minute I said, I'd be too honest and too straight with them. And every one of them, when I made that statement, I said it to every one of them. And when I made that statement, every one of them said, now, that's what we need. And so lo and behold, I go home and talk to my dad about it. And he said, yeah, just you've competed all your life. Go out and do it. And ultimately, when I went and talked to my wife and got her blessing, I just threw my name in there and had to run against 3 other people. So I won. I tell you, I'm glad I won. I'm glad I did because I'm really having fun. And the thing about it, Mark, it's no different than dealing with people in the team.
Right.
And as you know, there are times when you have to get on the table, not for yourself, but for the team, for the holistic approach. And so that's what I bring to it every day. And we've had some success. And I'm enjoying it because you got to deal with people.
Well, I know if I ever get a ticket in Phoenix City, who to call?
No, that's part of it. No. No.
Well, I do the speed limit. I've never had any tickets or anything like that. My driver
let me tell you this. So. You know this. You have to be consistent.
Right.
And if you do it for one, you're opening Pandora box. So
we ain't gonna tell nobody. It'll be our little secret.
But somebody in the back room would know. And then you run all your credibility then. And that's for my children, my wife, they all know you got to be consistent. When you're in a leadership position, you have to be consistent.
Very true.
Well, I got 2 more questions. Eddie, tell us about that year you in 1989 when you won the CFL championship.
I would tell you, we got in the playoff with a 99 record. For some reason, that in the first part of the year, we had a lot of injuries of players. So we wound up going 9-9, sneaking in 3rd place in the playoffs. And it seems like everybody that was injured started getting healed at the right time. So that year we won it. Now we played 24 games because in the CFL you played 18 regular season games. Ooh. And you played 3 preseason games, and we had to play 2 playoff games in the Grey Cup. And the only thing that, from my perspective, that helped me to play at that high level that's 2 seasons was that I always had great work ethics. Particularly after a game was played, I would go in and work out, but I had great work ethics. But the year we won it, we played 24 games. But we got in the playoff 9-9, got in there, hit it right, and we were able to win it. But I can tell you, and as we learned from Alabama, and it's hard to describe, there's nothing like being the best as a unit, as a team in that profession, or even in college. You can't describe it, but it's so important. And you know what, the amazing thing, and I tell people this all the time with diversity, I'm a big fan of diversity because sports has always gotten it right. And I just believe that if you embrace inclusion, it brings diversity, which it brings strength. And you play with guys, even in college, and particularly in the pros, from everywhere, all over the world. But it's amazing how you can put all those different things to aside and focus on one goal of being the best for a team and get it accomplished. So it was great. That's something, just like playing at Alabama, they can't take away from it. Winning the Grey Cup is something they can't take away from it. But how we did it is through a group of people. And that's what football is, that really love each other, push each other. Doesn't say you don't get into a scuffle with each other because we want the same thing. But when you do, when it's over with, at the end of the day, you still love each other and you're trying to be the best as a unit. And that's what I enjoyed the most about it. But winning the Grey Cup it was something special also.
Well, I'm going to this is the last statement. I'm going to pass it on to Marvin, but I'm going to tell you what is an honor and a privilege. You know, you've been, even though me and you, we see each other maybe at the YMCA every once in a while. Growing up, you always came to the schools and talked. You know, you always been part of my life. I was never really part of your life, but you always been a part of my life. One little memory I want to share as a kid, you came to I want to say Central Elementary, or you came to Sherwood, or maybe even the middle school, and you had your championship ring.
Yeah.
And you were standing by yourself, and I came up to you and I was like, "Can I hold your ring?" And you looked at me like a little boy, like, no, you can't hold my ring. But I remember you took it off.
Yeah.
You let me hold it. And it was the biggest damn ring I ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, I have been.
And I was like,
yeah, I know. I would just give it to someone and say, look, yeah, you can look at it, because again, it's about people.
Well, when you got it back from him, it probably had French fry grease on it or something.
But with that said, see, I'm about to give Marvin a compliment, but he messed it up. I'm gonna still give him a compliment. When you got two of the greats, and I get to sit here and listen to y'all stories, is an honor and a privilege on my part. I appreciate you coming on, Marvin. Go ahead and do your thing.
So much. Thank you.
You know, again, I just want to say thank you to you, because the guys now who play now, I don't think they'll ever understand it as much as the guys who played when I played a little bit before me and a little bit after me. Because growing up in the 80s and the 90s, you know, we still were fighting a lot of battles in life. So we seen a lot of what was going on. Now when they go to school, they just think it's a given right that I'm just here. So they don't understand the struggles for those of us who grew up. You know, I was born in the late 70s. So, you know, that I got to see a lot of the struggles firsthand growing up. So I just want to thank you. Tell your brother I said thank you. I tell Mr. Castile, when I see him all the time, I tell him thank you, to all of you guys, because again, without you all paving the way for us, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now.
Well, again, thank you all so much for having me. I appreciate it. Anytime you all need me, you all give me a call.